Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Realm of History live review for Chapter 18, getting you ready for tomorrow's quiz. Alternate time, so I'm sure that the numbers will be a little bit lower, but hey, looks like we got a pretty good amount of kids on here right now, so that's awesome. Okay, make sure you check in with me in the comments. Let me know that you're here. I really would appreciate that. It helps me kind of figure out who's coming and who's not and how they're doing on the assessments. So, one of the key things I want to talk about tonight is, of course, the live agenda. Tonight, what we're going to do, number one, we're going to have some key advice, like always, the most important stuff. We're going to go through some of the key terms, figures, concepts. We do need a tiebreaker. Third hour boys and eighth hour girls tied in the review game with 6 out of 9 questions correct. So we're going to have to do a coin flip to determine who's going to be the ultimate winner for that +1 extra credit on tomorrow's quiz. I will have some AP advice and also some short answer advice for you. And then we'll go into the question and answer session. All right, let's get into the key advice right off the bat. First off, I really think it's beneficial to write some things down. My students, when I grade the outlines, my students that write down information from this session, they usually do really well. Now, that could be because they're just motivated and they're willing to do the extra work, or it's because they put effort into this session and that helps maximize their time. So either way, it seems to be true that the students who write down information from this session, in addition to what they've already written down, do very well on the quiz papers. Second thing I want to say is make sure that you read through your notes several times through tonight. Maybe a couple times tonight, maybe a couple times in the morning. If you're lucky enough to have seminar before you take my class, read them during seminar, right? Make sure you maximize your time, utilize your time wisely. Use the review sheet to quiz yourself, right? It's like a Quizlet. You could put it in Quizlet, or you could just do it the old school way. Look at the blank term, see if you can define it, check yourself on the review sheet, kind of, make up your own quiz review style. Next, I want to remind you to pray for the right things, right? I don't really suggest that you pray for success on this quiz. I don't think it's that important, but there's way more things that are much more important to pray for. I think you need to pray for the health and safety of your family. Of course, you could pray for the good Lord's guidance to use your talents to the fullest. I think that's always a valid way to do it. But also say the prayer of gratitude, thanking the good Lord for all the blessings that have been bestowed upon you. I think that's really important to remember, that we're so fortunate to be worried about a quiz rather than some people what they're worried about going through their daily lives. Always remember to be here now, right? That is the model. So when you come in the realm tomorrow, make sure you pop in history. When you're studying tonight, when you're studying in the morning, when you're studying in seminar, hey, be here now. Focus on the task at hand. Always focus on the task at hand. When you get home tomorrow, make sure that you pop history out, pop school out, pop sports practice out, and put in family time. Right? That's really important. And on that note, make sure right now you think about saying thank you to your parents, right? That's what do we say every single quiz? We say we got to say thank you to our parents. So if you need to stop doing what you're doing right now, go say thank you, or before you go to bed, make sure you tell your parents thank you. I mean, you need to be grateful, express your gratitude for all the blessings that you have. And you're in this situation because of those people in your life. Finally, Realm members, Realm family, meet the challenge. Hey, don't shy away. Don't skip school tomorrow. Lango's giving a quiz on Friday. It's the first week back. I'm just going to skip. No, that's a bad habit, right? Rise to the occasion, meet the challenge. Remember, challenges are good. That's the only way you're going to get better. That's the only way you're going to get tougher. That's the only way you're going to get smarter, is if you challenge yourself. When things are too easy, you get bored. Right? And you need to challenge yourself to make sure that you're getting progressively better, stronger, tougher, smarter, more prepared as we go. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the key terms, the key figures, the key concepts. The first key figure on the list is Timur the Lame. Timur the Lame was also known as Tamerlane. I put him on here first because he wasn't actually an Ottoman ruler. He was a Central Asian ruler, region of Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Pakistan region. He was from Samarkand, which is a place in Afghanistan. It was a trading center. He actually defeated the Ottomans and put a halt to their expansion. And so that was kind of a big deal. It was at the Battle of Ankara, if you remember. Next is a key figure in the Ottoman world. His name's Osman. He's also known as Othman, so the word Ottoman comes from his name. He's one of the first Ottoman rulers. He was really one that was a leader of Ghazis, if you remember what the Ghazis were, the Muslim warriors. And that's where the Ottoman Empire kind of takes its name and formality. Moving on down the list, next I want to cover Mehmed II. Mehmed II is probably, the most powerful military leader of the Ottomans. He's the Ottoman ruler that conquered Constantinople in 1453. This is when Constantinople was the center of the Byzantine Empire. Its fall led to Constantinople being turned into an Islamic city. Places like the Hagia Sophia, which we learned about all the way back in chapter 11, eventually became an Islamic mosque, so on and so forth, correct? So next order of business we're going to talk about is Suleiman. You can see Suleiman spelled in a few different ways. One of the key ways that you see Suleiman spelled is with a Y, or you can see it with an EI. He's known as the lawgiver because he created a code of laws. He was really the most influential, well-rounded, balanced ruler, and he ruled over a very the largest span of Ottoman territory in their long history. And the Ottomans are still in play during World War I. So, the fact that Suleiman had the largest empire, that's a pretty big testament to his strength. Next, we've got your boy, Selim the Grim. Selim the Grim was an Ottoman ruler. He conquered many Muslim holy sites such as Mecca, Medina, and Cairo. He went to battle against many of the Safavid and even some Mughal rulers that we learned about in this chapter. One of the programs that made the Ottomans such a strong entity was the Devshirme program, or Devshirme program. It's a government program within the Ottoman Empire that would recruit conquered Christian boys and turn them into Muslim soldiers. Not only Muslim soldiers, but they were educated, they were converted to Islam, and then they had a chance, if they provided good service, to move up in the social ranks of society and become officers or government officials. All right, we spent a lot of time talking about cultural blending in section 2. There's a bulleted list in the textbook that you should really focus on. There's also a chart, I think it's on page 513. But if you remember from what we learned, we had some causes and results in our textbook and in our lesson. And we said some of the causes of cultural blending are migration, conquest, seeking religious freedom. Some of the results where you can see cultural blending very evidently would be language, art and architecture, religion, and racial and ethnic intermarriage, right? So those are some of the key ways that we can talk about cultural blending. But cultural blending is also going to become important on the AP portion of the quiz tomorrow. So understanding cultural blending and its elements is to your advantage. Next is the place, Esfahan. Esfahan was simply the capital city of the Safavid Empire. That's all you need to know. Next is Ishmael. Ishmael was, of course, a Safavid ruler. He was kind of really harsh in enforcing strict Shia Muslim control. He made Shia Islam the official religion of the Safavid Empire. Under his power, he was a religious tyrant. Anyone that did not convert to Shia Islam was killed or put to death. Next is Shah Abbas. Shah Abbas was a Safavid ruler. He's also known for being very harsh in his treatment of people, but he was a little bit more lenient than Ishmael. He made a lot of government reforms and invited people into Esfahan to try and foster and expand trade, especially with Europe and China. Next, we'll talk about Safa al-Din. Safa al-Din, very simple. He was a key leader of an Islamic brotherhood, and he basically founded the Safavid Empire. His name leads into the Safavid. Safa al-Din, Safavid. Moving into section 3 in the content portion, we'll talk about Babur. Babur was the founding ruler of the Mughal Empire. That's really the most important thing to remember about Babur. Next after him is Akbar. Akbar was the golden age ruler of course, the Mughal Empire. So under his power, it was really one of its strongest time periods. He was a very tolerant ruler. That means he allowed for many differences of opinion, many differences in religion. He allowed for religious freedom. He allowed and fostered military improvements. He actually had a really good tax collection system, which is similar to how we collect taxes in the United States. It's based on a percentage of your income. Next is Jahangir. Jahangir was the son of Akbar. He was known as the grasper of the world because he wanted to expand the empire. He had a Persian princess wife named Nur Jahan that kind of was ruling behind the scenes, and she did some odd things. She wanted to kind of take more power. She really kind of made some plots to kill off Jahangir and marry one of his sons. Khusru was the son's name. When that didn't quite work out, she kind of shuffled Khusru to the side and then wanted to marry one of Jahangir's younger sons. So really an odd situation. But Nur Jahan, wife of Jahangir, making many decisions behind the scenes. She was a Persian princess. Okay, next we're going to go to Shah Jahan. We know he was the builder of the Taj Mahal. We want to know about that. It's very important. But he took power by having all of his rivals assassinated. That would be his brothers, his cousins, his friends. So anybody that was maybe in line for the throne or maybe could challenge for it, he had them killed off. Remember, we learned about, hey, when people have a chance for power, sometimes they get power hungry. They go on these power trips, and oftentimes it's fatal, deadly. But nonetheless, he fell in love with his wife. It was an arranged marriage. Her name is Mumtaz Mahal. She's also from Persia. And he really genuinely fell in love with her. She died at the age of 39, giving birth to their 14th child. And he had this large, magnificent structure built in her honor. The Taj Mahal is actually the picture at the bottom of your textbook front cover. So it's an important place. His wife's name was Mumtaz Mahal. Kind of just talked about how she died at 39, giving birth to the 14th child, and the Taj Mahal was created in her honor. It's also her burial site. Next is Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was the son of Shah Jahan. Eventually, he had his own father imprisoned. Aurangzeb imprisoned Shah Jahan, and he also went about by enforcing very strict Islamic laws that kind of did not allow for many freedoms in the Mughal Empire. And he also brought back something called the jizya, or a tax on non-Muslims. So if you were a non-Muslim, you had to pay a tax. Next is a group called the Sikhs. These were a non-violent group. They were followers of Sikhism, which is its major belief is that all people are equal. Men, women, doesn't matter, different races, different ethnicities, different social classes. They believed in overall equality for all. Eventually, they did get into a violent war against the Mughal Empire. Okay, now we do have to do a quick tiebreaker, a pause for station identification. I'm going to bring in Ella. She's my youngest daughter. Come on in, Ella. Shut the door. We have a coin. Third hour people. I'm going to go to the comments real quick. Ella, you're going to flip the coin and to tell me if it's heads or tails. Okay. All right. So somebody from third hour. Boys, since you guys had to take the questions first, you're going to call heads or tails. Somebody in the comments, call heads or tails for third hour. Any third hour ballers here? I don't see any comments in there from third hour. Nobody's mentioning. Well, I guess we're going to have to let eighth hour call it. Anybody from eighth hour here that wants to call heads or tails? Oh, nope. We got Alex G says heads first. So Alex G calls heads. All right, Ella, you flip the coin. Eighth hour? Alex G's third hour. Yeah, okay. You flip the coin and see what it is. Go ahead.
Like that?
Yep, just flip it in the air, let it land on the ground. Oh.
I didn't flip it.
Flip it right. Sorry, everyone. Good flip. That is tails. So tails, that goes to eighth hour. Eighth hour win. So that's a win for the eighth hour girls. Oh, favoritism. Gonna get me in trouble. I'm in trouble now. Okay. Have a good night. Shut the door for me.
No, you're not in trouble.
You're all done, honey. You can shut the door. Okay.
I like both of them.
You like both of them, I know. All right. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, third hour. Looks like eighth hour is the big winner tonight. All right, back to the important topics of course, the AP advice. Here we go. Are you ready? I got a lot of advice for you. First off, very important that you know the short answer. Look, for being here tonight, I'm going to just tell you what the short answer is all about for the content part first, for the content part. What I've got here is the short answer will be from section 3. And here's a big clue. It's going to be related to the Taj Mahal. We just kind of talked about that story, but the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, know all of that information about the Taj Mahal, you'll be in good shape there. Okay, now I'm going to go through each of the prompts for the MCQs regarding tomorrow's AP portion. Prompt number 1. Well, before I do that, I think it's important to remind you that Unit 3, which is the one that we're on, spans from 1450 to 1750. So knowing your time frame is really important. Prompt number 1 is going to be a document. And the document is about tax collection. I'm going to give you 3 page numbers to focus in on this. You got page 162, page 163, and page 180. Those pages right there will help get you ready for this question. Really something to focus in on while you're studying those pages in AMSCO. It's AMSCO what I'm talking about, by the way, those page numbers. The Mughal government and administration. That would be really helpful in answering the questions that come from this document. Okay. Most of the other prompts are images or maps. Prompt number 2 is an image, and I'm looking at it right now. That's what I'm holding in my hand. I'm just making sure I give you the proper information. It's basically about the Ottoman and Mughal military, okay, which we know, gunpowder empires, right? That's what these are all about. So cannon, artillery, so on and so forth. One thing that I would say that's a clue is that Aurangzeb is mentioned heavily. He was a Mughal ruler. Aurangzeb is mentioned in one of the questions. So there are a couple of clues for you. Prompt number 3, also an image. It involves Suleiman and the Ottoman Empire, and it also references the Devshirme or Devshirme program. So knowing about those elements, knowing about Suleiman, knowing about the Ottoman Empire will help in prompt number 3. Prompt number 4 is also an image. It is about the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople. Okay, remember, cannons, gunpowder were a big part in that conquest as well. And then finally, there's a map. Prompt number 5 is a map, and it's about the expansion of the Ottoman Empire. So understanding where they started, what areas they expanded to, would help as a reference for answering the question or questions related to the map. Now, the SAQ, couple of tidbit points for you on the SAQ. Now, when we get into the question and answer session, I'm not going to be answering questions about these clues I'm giving you. The clues are there to help guide your study, but you're not going to be able to say, oh, what do we need to know about Suleiman and the Dev? You need to do that work on your own, okay? I'm giving you the clues. You piece them together. For the SAQ, though, the first question focuses on political, social, and economic incentives in religious and cultural diffusion. So political, social, economic reasons, values that are caused by religious spread and cultural spread, cultural diffusion. Number 2, the second key question in the SAQ focuses on religious and cultural syncretism. Syncretism is a term that I said is going to be important. It's where 2 or more things blend into one and become in sync, right? So religions, maybe that were where there's people coming into different places and then spreading and sharing and blending a religion, or cultural practices that blend, trade practices that blended, right? Cultural diffusion, we know, has been a really big part of our class all year, but syncretism is a form of cultural diffusion. Okay. All right. I am done. That's 20 minutes of lead review. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to the question and answer session. So I'm going to go to the comments, and it is your turn to go ahead and ask any questions that you might have. No, Alex, you didn't fail. It just hey, it's a 50-50 chance, man. At least you stepped up and said one or the other. Nobody else wrote anything right away, so no big deal. Okay, questions, go ahead. Realm family, any questions that you have that you want me to answer? All right, good question. I'm never a big fan of memorizing. Uh, Obviously, any class that you're in, it does have an element of memorizing, but I think understanding the concepts. I think understanding the concepts and being able to provide some examples of uh, cultural blending, maybe not only for the content part, but maybe for the SAQ. I think that would be really helpful for the AP portion, more so than the content portion. Yeah, I would say it's kind of a list and explain. It's going to ask you the who, the what, the where, the why, some of the problems. So yeah, listing and explaining would be a good way to do that. Yeah. You know, mostly cannon, just basic cannon on wheels. Large barreled cannon is something that the Ottomans utilized quite heavily. They also had your standard cannon that you could deploy on a ship, the Ottoman, especially in their navy. But as far as for the quiz, you don't really need to know like specific styles or anything like that. All right. Next question. Anybody? I'm here to answer those questions. Not seeing many. All right. Well, if we don't have any further questions, we can stop the session here in a minute or two. I'll wait just about a minute more to see if any other questions pop in. Crew. Definitely crew. That is very, very mean. That's antagonization. Internet bullying. All right. So Ottoman Empire stays in power until really World War One, and they really kind of went out of power due to other countries like Hungary and Greece gaining independence from them. So wars of independence led to their decline. The Safavid Empire kind of went out of power due to very poor and weak leadership. And we learned about that with Shah Abbas and killing or blinding his most able sons, which led to a trickle down effect, which led to their weakness. The Mughal Empire, they eventually get outside influence from Portugal and England and other European entities kind of getting involved in their trade. They're eventually controlled by the English and Portuguese for a certain time period. So those are the big reasons why those empires fall. Yeah, I mentioned the Battle of course, Ankara and the Battle of Calderon. So that those battles, the Battle of Constantinople, those battles would be important, elements to know. Yes. Here, pretty much anything that was mentioned in the video by Heimler, you want to know that they were a gunpowder empire. They were a land-based empire, right? And they're similar. The way that the Manchu peoples kind of take over and form the Qing dynasty, very similar to how, of course, the Ottomans, the Mughals, and of course the Safavids spread their power. Um, the reading in AMSCO is the best source because remember, Heimler and the AP classroom videos are all summaries of that information, right? So really your most valid source is going to be the AMSCO reading. I mean, really, all you really want to know, Adriana, is that the Mughals are kind of the descendants of the Mongols. They're kind of like the descendants of the Mongols. That's why the name is so similar. They had battles with the Safavids and they're kind of vying for power. They had battles with areas from the southern portion of India, which were Hindus, right? You have Hindus versus Muslims. You've also got a Turkish influence. So, really, the Mughals are another example of cultural blending. As far as for the quiz, I don't think you want to focus too much time on those elements. Just know that Babur was really one of the first strong rulers, and he's a relative of Tamer the Lame, right? Timur the Lame, or Tamerlane. So, just understanding, I think what's most important is understanding the kind of cultural blending of Mongol, Turkish, and Central Asian influence there. Well, you need to know here that Istanbul was Constantinople and it became the capital city of the Ottoman Empire, right? So Constantinople was a Christian site, it's taken over by Mehmed II, and it then becomes the capital city, the center point of the Ottoman Empire. All right. Any other questions? I am here to answer those. Hint from the midterm exam. Midterm exam's over. I don't know what you're talking about, McDonald's. That's the way, Matty G. I hope we get a good game going, Definitely. Go Irish. Any other questions? Yeah, content portion has like similar numbers of multiple choice and matching and then one short answer. Okay. All right, we got some funny bantering in the comments. If I missed your question, I'm so sorry. I really do apologize. I'm not sure what mistake I made, but I do apologize. Any other questions for tomorrow's quiz? All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining. Half hour, that's a good time. Maybe if you're watching from the warm-ups of the basketball game, you're right in time to watch the game. I want to wish you a great night. Make sure you say thank you to your parents. Make sure tomorrow you meet the challenge, rise to the occasion, be here now, and let's get a good quiz score in the book for the first assessment of semester 2. Hey, thank you. God bless all of you. I love all of you, Realm family members, and I hope that you do really well on tomorrow's quiz. Have a great night.